Something happened when I turned 35 years old where I noticed this divide between friends of mine that were active and friends of mine who weren't, where, for a while the lines seemed to be pretty much the same, and then at about this age of 35, they started to separate and kind of accelerate away from one another. My friends who were active kind of kept their youth, it seemed like. They look young, they generally aren't getting as sick as often. My friends who were not active, all of a sudden, almost seemingly overnight at that point, I don't know if you notice the same thing if you're above 35 years old, that was the point for me, where people just started to age around me. Like really started to age around me. They started to get sick more often, they look a lot older. Like I've got friends who look like they're 20, I've got friends who look like they're 70, and we're all the same age. You've got one body. There's a lot of things that we can buy. You can buy nicer cars, you can buy whatever. A lot of people say, how much money do you spend on fitness? That's the wrong way to think about it. Money isn't spent on fitness and health. Money is invested into your fitness and health. Pinch pennies elsewhere. Invest money as much as you possibly can, as much as you can afford to, and pinch your pennies elsewhere, because once your body goes, it goes. You don't want to be spending money on getting better after you already get hurt or after you already get sick. Instead, what you want to do is you want to invest that money into your body and that time into your body so that you avoid getting hurt, so that you avoid getting sick, so that you progressively build tolerance to your physical intolerances. You're going to sprain your ankle, for example. The difference between one person and another person is that person A, who's active and fit and trains a lot, when they roll their ankle, they're going to be perfectly fine. They're going to look around, they're going to feel like they look stupid, and then they're going to walk away. Person 2 is going to snap their shit up, and they're going to be on crutches, and their ankle is never going to be the same. That's the difference between building tolerances to your intolerances. You're going to get hurt, you're going to get sick. All of us have cancer cells in our body. I know that's scary to hear, but we all have cancer cells in our body. And now, this isn't to say, of course, that there's luck involved, there's genetics involved. There absolutely is. You could be the healthiest person in the world. You might still get sick, you might still get unlucky. But I want to give myself the best chance possible that when something that's inevitable happens, i.e. when I roll my ankle metaphorically or physically, when there are cancer cells in my body, when I get sick, when I encounter pathogens, my body is as strong as possible to be able to fight those things. What does that mean? That means surrounding myself in sunlight as much as possible. That means being active even if I don't want to be active, even if I don't feel like it. That means trying to sleep, a little bit better. And of course, I've got 2 young kids. That's not always possible, but you do the best you can based off of what you're given. And the reason why I think a lot of people perhaps aren't as healthy as they otherwise should be is because they're spending their money, they're investing their money in the wrong ways. They say they don't have enough money to afford healthy food, and yet there they are with a nice car. They say that they don't have enough money to invest it into a gym membership or a trainer, or they don't have the time to be able to put into their fitness. But then you look at what they're doing and they're, binging a Netflix show, or then you look at what they're doing and they're spending their money on, I don't know, all of these kind of needless goods that are going to go away. And I get all of the reasons why people do this, but man, I wish that more people looked at their fitness and health as an investment. I mean, one of the lead cancer researchers at MIT, I forgot his name, it leaves me now, but in a documentary, one of the things that he said has always stuck to me. He said, I totally understand, I'll paraphrase it, he said, I totally understand that prevention, stopping people from smoking more often, for example, would do way more to reduce cancer than anything I'm doing with gene therapies or to help people get better once they already have cancer. But that's simply not intellectually stimulating for me. I think a lot coming from the fitness industry about just how hard it is to sell fitness. And I think a lot of the reason is that prevention, if something already happens, when there's already a pain, when there's already a sickness, when you fix it, you are relieving pain that's already there. You think about how our reward mechanisms are set up. Somebody's sick, we help them get better, there's a reward. We have somebody be more active or smoke less or eat better food or get more sunlight, and they never get sick in the first place. Did what we do over those years contribute to them not getting sick? Did they just get lucky? We don't really know. Who do we reward? Who do we reward with accolades or money or prestige? Who knows? There's a lot of people involved. And so what our methods of reward systems as a society are skewed towards reaction, not prevention, I think, is one reason. I think the other reason it, hits on what this MIT researcher said, which is just pure individual intellectual stimulation. We are interested in things that are more complex, right? It's not that complex a lot of the time, prevention. Just move a little bit more, eat a little bit better, and you'll actually do a lot for your health. And so how can we encourage people? It's not that complex. What's complex is gene therapies or figuring out different ways and medicines and pharmaceuticals. And so intelligent people tend to overcomplicate things. Intelligent people tend to make things more complicated than they actually are or that they often need to be, not because they're not doing important work. This cancer researcher is 100% doing important work, but what he's doing knowingly is he's overcomplicating things, or at least tackling the more complicated aspect of the problem, not because it's more important, because it's more individually, intellectually stimulating for this person. And so what you need to do, I think, as you're figuring out how to invest your money and your time and your energies, is you need to say, okay, well, I'm intelligent and I understand that reward systems are going to be more geared towards reaction, but actually it's better to avoid getting sick in the first place and do everything that you possibly can to avoid that than it is to perhaps react to it and get better, after you've already gotten sick.